glad to have you guys with us, everybody watching across the country on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook. Be sure to go hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Costs nothing, just free love and support. That don't cost you nothing but what I just said. And hit that like and subscribe, like and follow button on our Facebook page. Now, as we move forward, he's no stranger to the show, and I love anytime I have a conversation with him because he's going to keep it real, and he is a realist. Dr. Trayvean Scott, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Grambling State, and a Southern alum. Good morning, Dr. Scott.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Hey, man, doing well. Look, with the T-minus, 6 hours? Pretty good weekend inside of the Minidome, so looking forward to it.
And that's one of the reasons having you on this morning. It is alumni night or alumni day for Southern University basketball. Both men and women will be taking on Grambling men and women basketball teams today. And listen, Grambling's basketball team has kind of had Southern's number here in the past, man. Looking at your coaches, talk about your women's coaching and your men's basketball coaching and what they've been able to accomplish up there at Grambling.
Well, I'll start with Courtney Simmons. Obviously, she's a native of Baton Rouge and an alum of the Southern University Laboratory School, and so I've got quite a few years of experience with her. She took over a program. I think we were 10-20. We were really struggling with our identity. We just weren't progressing, as a program. And she took over, gave us an instant boost of energy and accountability. And 24-9 in year one, and a win in the postseason in the women's NIT. And she's pretty much revitalized our program, and we're excited about what she's doing. She recruits well. She's very organized. She gets these ladies to play. Really excited about, her style of play, really excited about the way she makes adjustments, and really excited about what she's going to be able to do with our program moving forward. Dante Jackson, I've known for years. This is his, now I believe, 8th year here. His first year in the conference, of course, I was down in Baton Rouge, and he won the SWAC regular season. I don't think they were eligible for postseason play because of APR. He did well, for the next couple of years, kind of middle of the pack. And in 2021, when we got there, I think we were 4th or 5th. And I believe we may have lost to Southern in the first round, or we beat Southern in the first round. Well, in 2022, of course, we shared the SWAC regular season championship, lost in the championship game to Texas Southern in the tournament. Last year, we won it outright. Pretty historic run for us. And the same thing for him. He's been around the league for a while. He's got a lot of chops in Division II. He cut his teeth at Central State. He's a Central State alum. He's coached at down in Tuscaloosa at Stillman College, and then came up to Grambling and has done a phenomenal job. Just won his 124th game, which is the most in Division I history at Grambling. And so, two very good coaches. They're blessed to have two great leaders of their caliber. Just, excited about, again, what they're going to do, today, and what they're going to do in future years for the program. We've got both locked up for the next few years. So we're really excited, about keeping a consistency of winning. We talk about a sustainable culture of competitive excellence, and they've certainly been able to provide that on both sides of men and women's basketball throughout their teams at Grambling.
Let me ask you this, because you guys won the SWAC last year, and then for the first time in Grambling history, as you said, you guys won an NCAA tournament game. What was that impact to Grambling to be on the national stage, to win that game? For a lot of people out there who may not understand with that notoriety, with the G that we know, but to bring that along with national television audience, what was and the finance that come with it as well, what was that impact to Grambling's athletic and overall to the school behind that?
Well, I think, obviously, being at a school like Grambling with the brand imagery that it carries, the national notoriety is not anything new. But what I think is different about it is being able to enjoy that notoriety in the basketball space. In my recent memory, I hadn't been able to remember, in my generation, any real success in basketball. Now, there's been a lot of success in basketball, obviously, with Coach Hobby and the Aaron Jameses of the world and the Bob Hopkins of the world. A lot of the greats that, the Martin LaMelle seniors, the basketball players that have really, played, historically at Grambling, but not too much in the last probably 20 some odd years. And so, just in a time where, the university, much of the university athletics history has been tied to football, and then, in the last several years, maybe with the success of women's basketball and Chicago Hill with the triple doubles, well, men's basketball never really had that opportunity. And, to have the opportunity to, of course, win the regular season and then, win the tournament and actually go and win a game in the NCAA tournament. There are a lot of complaints about the first four, but I think the first four provides, a platform for us that, of course, we certainly was able to take advantage of to win the game. And then you take the momentum away from that. When the Vice President of the United States of America calls your cell phone, she called my cell phone. Now, I don't coach, and I don't play, and it was certainly an honor for me. Now, she wasn't calling for me, but it places you in a space, like you said, of notoriety. Obviously, the Vice President of the United States isn't just calling anybody, and then you take that momentum into playing really a very good Purdue team with Zach Edey, who is just a phenomenal basketball player and talent himself. And so, we lost to the national runners-up and an NBA lottery pick, and again, we had a great year last year. You said something about the financial piece of it. Of course, we benefited from that, with the unit in the NCAA and how that pays out. And, of course, with that notoriety, we were able to, of course, leverage that into recruiting and some other opportunities, whether that be individually for Coach Jackson or for the team or for the program or even for the school. I'd be honest and tell you there was inherent benefit all the way around. But it's a new day. That time has passed. We're getting ready to walk into a very hostile place. I know all too well, against a very good ball club, and we've got to play our best basketball. We expect to walk out victorious on both sides. So, that's my spiel on that.
God dog, Trayvean. You up there at Grambling. I know you Southern at heart. And when I hear you talking about coming in here and walk out victorious, I'm just thinking you talking about the Jaguars. But the reality set in, you talking about them dang on Tigers, man. Just, God dog, man. Okay, let's jump on it. Trey, I want to have a conversation with you, man, because as I talked with Lamont Cole about the ever-changing world of education, there's an ever-changing world in athletics. And that ever-changing world is what we're dealing with today, the transfer portal, but more importantly, NIL. I want to ask you, because I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about a student athlete who was interested in a certain school, but wanted to know, what does NIL look like? But for me, talking to you as an AD, running a program at Grambling, what does NIL look like for Grambling currently in terms of how you guys go out? Because I know student athletes today, the moment you reach out to them, the moment you offer them, the moment you talk to them, I'm pretty sure one of the first conversations is not about the education, it's about the money.
You know what? That's the funny part. So what does NIL look like? I think, again, we're in a space where the landscape is changing. You went from the NIL piece to really a space where collectives being kind of took over, right? And so now with the House settlement, we seem to be, kind of in a space now in April where the House settlement is going to come in and basically render collectives as no, right? And so now you're going to have to, and I can tell you, we're going to bring the collective piece internal. And so next week I'm gonna put something out. We're gonna announce Tiger NIL. So I'll give you a little bit of insider information, and what that looks like is being able to provide basically a structured way of being able to either compensate or share revenue with our student athletes. And some of that revenue is of course going to be donated. Some of it is a part of a grander revenue generation plan that, of course, we're getting ready to roll out. With our annual fund, with our ticket policy, and our Tiger Club, and with some of the things that we're doing to generate revenue. Some of it's going to be again raised. Some of it's going to be from revenue from tickets. Some of it may be even from the revenue distribution from the conference, and some of it will be specifically for Tiger NIL, and then being able to utilize the structure. Because again, and I don't know if you saw this period, but I think it might have been Thursday morning or Wednesday evening, the Office of Civil Rights released a memo regarding NIL and its impact with Title IX. And so if you remember, most NIL and most revenue shares for most of the modeling that we've seen thus far has only been for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball. We call them the core four. And what OCR is saying is that the laws, rules, regulations, and that you have to abide by relative to Title IX are still at play, even with NIL. And so every dollar that you spend on a football player, you're going to have to spend a proportional amount to a student athlete getting a similar opportunity in a Title IX sport. And so, even 2 or 3 days ago, we're having to go back, pivot, readjust our planning, readjust the models, call our coaches back in, have the conversation so that they have the requisite understanding of things that are said across the board when we're recruiting these student athletes. And then understanding the legal aspect, there's definitely some legal liability when you're talking about, being able to distribute revenue and then being able to get something as simple as a written agreement. Where coaches now used to talk to the parents, and I used to call them kitchen table conversations when you're recruiting, and you're on the road and you're on the phone. And then, when I was in college, the coach came to my house and again, had a kitchen table conversation. And then, that turned into, talking to the quote-unquote handler with all of these AAU programs and things of that nature. Now, they're talking to agents. Right. And so, you see a lot of schools hiring general managers. You're seeing a lot of schools hiring, folks with contract negotiation experience, a lot of lawyers, a lot of former NFL front office employees. Again, when I was in school, you hired lawyers for compliance. Now you're hiring lawyers for contract negotiations for NIL. And so, we're entering a very uncomfortable space now. We're entering a space of more money changing hands. Now, I am a fan of monetizing. I'm a fan of NIL. I wish they had it when I was in school. I would have been less of a broke college student, but I do think that it's evolving so quickly, and we're having to make so many adjustments that there needs to be some additional conversation to kind of slow it down. We had the conversation at the convention this past week about, or at the coaches convention this past week about the 10-day window for the transfer portal, right? What is that going to look like? You're having the conversations about the early signing period. Now you're having the conversations about student athletes being able to transfer to as many as 4 or 5 schools in 4 or 5 different years. Now we're talking about extending eligibility from 4 years to 5 years, and we're talking about the junior college student athlete and not counting the 2 years against them that they spend at the junior college. So many, variables with NIL and how that looks. I'd like to see us get to a sustainable model. The reality of it is we're going to be changing for the next few years until we've got something that everybody can agree to. And if not, then the Power Four is certainly going to be at an advantage as they're already distributing as much as $22 million to their student athletes.
You got a second to hang on through a break?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's get ready to take a break. That is the voice of Dr. Trayvean Scott. Across the country on our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page, across the various groups. Of course, good brother on the show this morning, Dr. Trayvean Scott, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Grambling State University. In other words, he's their athletic director, and glad to have him on the show this morning. Dr. Scott, what's up? As they say in Baton Rouge, what's ham?
What's ham? Glad to be here. Good morning, man.
Good morning, man. Glad to have you on here, man. You know, as we have conversations, we were talking about the NIL, the idea of the collective, talking about basketball because, of course, big basketball weekend here in Baton Rouge. And if you're out there and if you're listening, you hear my voice and you got a tank of gas, come on over to Baton Rouge to the F.G. Clark Activity Center, also affectionately known by those who went to Southern, the Mini Dome. Big game today, Southern and Grambling in-state. The Bayou Classic on the hardwood gets no better when you're talking about in the state with Southern and Grambling representing each other anytime they play. I don't care if we flipping quarters. I don't care if it's rock, paper, scissors, old school, take your shoes off and race in the middle of the street. It's competitive when you're talking about Southern and Grambling. Of course, Dr. Scott up there at Grambling, and he's going to have his team here ready to play today, both men and women basketball, and they have had some success over Southern here in the past. So coming down today is going to be tough, but it is Alumni Day, so every game I feel in my mind should be Alumni Day. You know, everybody as an alum should show up, but particularly today is special, right? It's for the alums that typically don't interact, and this is normally, if not the biggest attended game for Southern, especially when Grambling comes to town. So normally the audience is there, the crowd is there. Now what we got to get some energy in the building. But Dr. Scott, before as we move forward, I got about 6 more minutes with you. Mickey Joseph comes in year 1, takes over the program. You hire him in as your football coach, but I got to ask a question because the people want to know. We knew he moved forward differently with an offensive coordinator. Eric Dooley, former head coach here at Southern University, goes up, becomes the offensive coordinator there. Moved on from him. Any word, any announcement about a new offensive coordinator for Grambling State football?
Yeah, we'll have an announcement forthcoming. You know, we're looking forward to the spring, kind of moving past last year. I thought we had an opportunity to quite frankly finish a little better. I certainly didn't see a field 5-7. So you know, we've got an opportunity here to kind of right the ship. You know, it started 2 weeks ago on January 6th when we reported back, and Coach Joseph and his staff are doing a great job. Our young men reported last week as well. Had an opportunity to engage with them over the course of the last few days, and so definitely looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to getting better every day. But yeah, we'll have an announcement out, you know, pretty soon. Of course, not only with the composition of coaches, but our schedule, and again, you know, some of the things that we're going to do in the revenue generation space in terms of sharing revenue.
Looking forward to seeing that schedule as well. Of course, Southern dropped his home schedule this past week. I think they're still working on some things with some other games, but you were in. Well, I can't talk about that right now. I will. You know the schedule, and I kind of know it in terms of a game that's going to happen this year, and I think you were at the forefront of making that game happen. But moving forward, looking at Grambling Athletics going into the future with about 5 minutes here, man, just your overall mission and goal moving that athletic department forward and your vision.
Well, I mean, the vision is clear. Well, the goal is clear. Again, sustainable excellence. And, you know, my vision is to offer first-class athletics programming across the landscape. And, you know, not only to win at a high level, but to graduate student athletes, you know, at an 80 to 90% clip. And so, you know, for us, the way we get there is we be consistent in our goals, consistent in our values, consistent in our objectives, and following our mission and understanding that culture is important. And, you know, we talk all the time about culture, and I'm a big culture guy, but I think that, you know, primarily for us, the culture in our programs are different because, you know, obviously with different sports and different genders. However, the overarching sentiment remains the same. You know, the expectations don't change, and we're big on, you know, holding our coaches and our student athletes accountable. I'll give you an example. Academically, if you're not sitting in the first 3 rows, we're going to have a problem, right? I'll just say that. And competitively, you know, we want to, you know, be able to do the little things, like the support. I'm big on that. You know, what are we doing in the weight room? What are we doing in the training room, right? What do we need, whether that's cutting-edge technology, you know, what are we doing on trips? Like, what makes a difference? Is it nutrition, right? Just whatever the things are that we need to be successful, we've now become more equipped in providing those resources for our coaches to be successful. And then, listen, you hire good coaches who hire good assistants who, look, for the purposes of this conversation, I wouldn't say recruit kids anymore. It's almost like you're hiring new kids.
Got to buy them.
And so, you understand kind of the trickle-down effect of, and I sound a little like my boss here, but organizational effectiveness, right? It's a big thing, and it exists in our space of college athletics. Obviously, we're kind of different than some of the other areas on campus, but we're the same as it relates to trying to run a first-class and effective organization. So, just from that aspect, that's the thought, that's the goal. I don't walk into an arena or a stadium or a field thinking we're ever going to lose, and that's certainly a good feeling, excuse me. But, just to have coaches and the leadership there to be able to push the goals forward and student athletes who understand the mission and the goals, and that's where we are. So I'm excited about our leaders of our individual programs. I'm excited about the leadership that we have at the institution, and I'm excited about the leadership we have in the athletic department to kind of tie it all together.
Let me ask you this. Every time I see Southern and Grambling, I always wonder. I said, man, I wonder do the Scott and Banks got a bet going. Y'all got anything going today?
No, not at all. And you know what? Look, Coach Banks and I, it's still weird for me to call him Roman, right? We talk a lot, not as frequent, obviously, as when I was here, but we talk a lot, we text a lot, we communicate a lot. I have a very high level of respect and adoration, not just for Coach Banks, but for his family. I'm still a family member. Even on the days of games, just before and after. And so, no, we don't bet. We kind of watch, and the basketball coach and him, I can kind of look at him when he's watching a game, and even now, kind of know what he's thinking, and the same for me. So no bet. Of course, just wishing him well. He's wishing me well when we're not playing, and the way it's supposed to be. If you want me to be honest, is Southern and Grambling is supposed to be at the top anyway. So. That's what it is. We're going to battle it out today, and may the best two teams win.
May the best two teams win. I'm hoping it's Southern today, Dr. Scott. I know, vested interest on your end, but, it is the Jaguar Journal at the end of the day, and you understand that. But nonetheless, man, I appreciate you for coming on today, and anybody out there listening, that's the voice of Dr. Trayvean Scott, the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Grambling State. Dr. Scott, man, appreciate you coming on, man. Look forward to seeing you today over at the Mini Dome.
Anytime. I'll see you soon.
All right, my man.